Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. Yes. Good news, bad news. Good news, bad news. Everybody is wondering as we're heading forward about the Muller Report because every week as it approaches Friday, we're looking for more. We're looking for more. That's every week as it approaches Friday because it's that time of year. We know that the hammer's going to drop at any time. And not necessarily again on the president, but certainly on his people. Everyone's expecting the indictment since Friday is typically the day of the week that things go down. Everybody's staying tuned up, wound up. Every Friday, we're all wound up, waiting to see what's going to jump off. Because it looks like the Mueller report is winding into a certain phase. You know, and then the screws are tightening on certain people. Papadopoulos had to report to jail. Manafort's agreement has been ended, and they're going to court to try to send him to jail. And things continue within the whole Trump sphere to disintegrate. And we expect the president, these are the times to be careful because we expect the president to behave like a cornered dog.
I thought he was already doing it.
Yeah, well, he sort of is. I just think you can expect it to get worse, I think, because as his family becomes threatened, Vic, when his sons are right in the headlights of the investigation, and they don't have presidential protection. And let's say he tries to pardon his son. Well, the stuff that they're being charged with, again, is Southern District of New York. Presidential pardon can't do that for you. Same thing with Manafort. Presidential pardon can't do that for you, even though I'm sure Manafort has to be worried to some extent. You know, the Russians kill people. The Russians kill people. I mean, aren't they known for that, you know, gas sneaking stuff on people just like the North Koreans? He's got to be concerned about his people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You know.
So the plot thickens.
Yeah.
I don't know, but, you know, based on what we've talked about here at Pax Stereo TV, we have said before, I said back in my predictions of 5/22/17 that we predicted that exactly what you're seeing, the number of indictments. Like I said, for a witch hunt, that's a pretty damn good witch hunt. Damn near 40 indictments.
Yeah.
I mean, people just don't know. They don't look at all the little people that are getting lit up. But everybody that surrounds the president, you got his money man that goes all the way back to his daddy, all of them involved as the investigation appears to be closing.
Definitely.
So again, we don't know, but the talk is all on that as we await. 4 days of events are planned to honor former President George Bush, who looks especially good in the face of the things that we're dealing today. He died Friday at age 94, and he's going to be held in state, and then he'll be buried next to his wife, Barbara, and their daughter, Robin, who died in 1953. So a lot of stuff on that as they honor George W. Bush.
He lived a long life, man. Plus 90? Man, wow. 94? What? Wow. A lot of years, man. Blessings. Good DNA.
Which gets me to the focus point of today's broadcast, because we have Trump on every day, and we have the ongoing saga that is the debacle of the presidency. But every now and then, things happen that make me stop and take a moment and reflect. And one of them is the new Opioid Law, which is people are calling historic, our new Opioid Law that Donald Trump signed a bipartisan bill. On October 24th, he signed a bipartisan bill aimed at tackling the nation's growing opioid epidemic. It's officially called the Substance Use Disorder Prevention that promotes opioid. Okay, they have this. This is bad.
Wow.
Officially titled the Substance Use Disorder Prevention that Promotes Opioid Recovery and Treatment for Patients and Communities Act.
Wow.
That's the name.
Wow.
The Substance Use Disorder Prevention that Promotes Opioid Recovery and Treatment for Patients and Communities Act. Okay, let me give you an example. They're calling it historic, Vic, and they're saying they're wondering whether it's enough. While the specifics are not clear, they're putting $500 million a year. $500 million a year toward opioid crisis. Give states a lot more flexibility in using that funding. A key provision of the bill is the continuance of state opioid grants. This adds hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm quoting, this adds hundreds of millions of dollars to the states to treat opioid abuse. So first of all, let's give that applause.
That's an applause, man. I was about to say that. They gave a lot of money during the crack epidemic, right?
Yeah, that's what we're going to say now, because
right.
I'm just saying, with all the money, and I'm so happy that hundreds of millions get to go toward opioid abuse. I just wish that black folks had been able to benefit from some of that, because when we had our crack crisis in the black community, what we were given is 3 strikes, you're out.
Oh, right, that's right. I forgot about
we
that.
We got 3 strikes, you're out. When crack was devastating the black community, it was 3 strikes, you're out. Now that the opioid crisis is devastating the white community, we get understanding, we get hundreds of millions of dollars. It's so amazing how race affects these things. Kellyanne Conway described this epidemic as, quote unquote, the crisis next door. I just wish black people had been able to benefit from some of that. The difference in race and racism, especially in all these areas. Once again, the difference in race and racism.
All minorities should have.
When it comes to addiction, is so amazing. It's so amazing. It's just like when white folks were the subject of the poor, it was all the literature was the struggle of the poor, identifying with the poor. When they painted poor on black people, all of a sudden you had we had a whole bunch of anti-sentiments going out to welfare queens, quote unquote.
Right.
So once again, as happy as I am that hundreds of millions of dollars get to be, and because some of that will end up helping somewhere, maybe some black people, I'm just amazed once again at the difference that you see when it's white versus black. The opioid legislation they're talking about is, and I quote again, is going to require additional sustained investment. So nice to be white when you have an opioid addiction.
Yeah.
You guess you get sympathy, huh?
Oh, it's man. Money, class, all those things tie into it, man.
Yeah. So nice to be white when you have an opioid addiction.